Hello and welcome to the latest edition of Doing It Differently. This morning I'm joined by Adam Stewart, Microsoft's go-to-market lead for ERP. Welcome, Adam.
Yeah, hey Rob, thanks for having me.
No problem at all. Adam, we've known ourselves now for a couple of years, but could you tell everyone a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, your background, your interests, your hobbies?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, where to start, right? So Adam Stewart, originally born and raised in North Wales, and very proud to tell people now because it's this now city of Wrexham, not a town anymore.
Wow.
Not used to not lead with that, but now thanks to Hollywood, Ryan Reynolds, Rob McElhenney, it's the best conversation starter saying I'm from Wrexham.
Yeah.
Born and raised there, and went to university up in the north of England in Lancaster, and then now travelled down to the south of England to start working at Microsoft as a graduate. So hit a lot of the pillars of the UK in my time. As you'll see behind me, they're the various pieces of my hobbies, my interests, my life, so people can see what they pick out and what they spot. But anyone who knows me knows I'm a big badminton player. That's my main hobby. Played badminton pretty much my whole life growing up and represented Wales at various events. And as you well know, that passion is now starting to turn to golf. I think the knees and hips are hurting in the world of badminton, and golf's a little bit kind of on the joint. So whatever it is, some sort of sport will keep me going as well.
Yeah, annoyingly good as well. I find it very frustrating when I meet people that are obviously sports people and have been coached. And yeah, they take up golf and almost seem to take to it like a duck to water. It's taken me 15 years and I'm still struggling, but hey, here we go. So Adam, 14-year-old Adam, right, back in Wrexham, dreaming of what's gonna happen in the world. What did you think? What did you dream back then as what your career would look like?
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, probably at that age, it was to be a badminton player. It was, growing up playing that sport, it was always a dream of wanting to play that at the highest level possible, but always kind of knew that was never going to be a reality. You've got to be one of the best in the world to make a living out of it, and whilst I was good, I wasn't good enough to really go to a pro level. So whilst that was probably the dream, I knew it wouldn't be the reality. To be honest, for me, going through education years, thinking about potential careers, I didn't really know options and what might be possible. I just kind of took every step as it came and tried to do it as well as possible. So the classic route of GCSEs into A-levels into university, but never really with a thought of going into the world of technology, going into the world of product management. I was quite conscious that I didn't know what the options might be, and so I just tried to do the best that I could. I knew I had interests in business, and so I studied economics at university and similar subjects at A-level. So I had an interest area, but no definitive career path. And I actually think back to it, there's a bit of a funny full circle in my education years through to where I am today. One thing I did try and be proactive with that I think certainly helped was trying to get as much work experience as I could. And There was one summer in between my A-level years where I went and did about a month or so's placement at a local business. And they put me on a project to review and evaluate whether the business would benefit from a new ERP system.
Oh, fantastic! There you go.
The finance director was set on it. He wanted to go with SAP at the time, and I remember doing a lot of desk research and came across this product. It probably literally only just launched, that was called Business Central and Dynamics. And even though the finance director was set on SAP, I actually thought, hey, this Microsoft product's quite good. It works with Outlook and all the office tools that everyone in the business uses. So I built a whole business case on how they benefit, and here we are actually now owning the go-to-market for that product without ever really realizing it. And I didn't make that connection until probably a few months ago when I was actually looking back at a the work I'd completed in that work experience. So yeah, there we go. Without knowing it, I was planting the seeds for this role.
So you've gone full circle then, and you literally didn't even, Microsoft wasn't even on your radar at that point.
No, Microsoft wasn't really on my radar, and even when I was finishing up at university, the world of tech had then become interesting. I think when you're at university, you start to learn a little bit about what's possible, and career fairs and the like certainly help with that. But I wasn't set on any business. I applied for a good number of different roles. It was knowing I wanted to go into some sort of sales or marketing role. The thing that helped with Microsoft is that my older brother works at Microsoft. And so I'd had experience. He'd been there 2 years by the time I came around to applying. So I knew a bit about the company and that it was a really good place to work. But I had no idea really about the products or the roles, and followed his recommendation. And say I had a number of applications that were in. And as a lot of graduates find, it's normally about whichever one comes around successfully first. Is where you end up going, and thankfully for me, that was Microsoft.
The stars aligned.
Yeah, absolutely, they did.
So, I always actually often discuss this with friends, but about sport and how important and how aligned, I guess, it is to business, and it's individual sport or team sport. I think it's kind of a natural fit if you're a sport person of some kind.
Yeah, I totally agree. I joke with friends and colleagues that if I was to write a book one day, I'd probably write it about how to work like you're an athlete in the world of business. I think there's loads of parallels that we're not maximising the potential of. And the analogy I always like to use is Roger Federer, one of the greatest, if not the greatest tennis player of all time, isn't training on the tennis court every minute of every day. And yet there's this ethos in business that the higher up you go and the better you get, that then correlates with working more, working harder, and just putting more onto your plate. I think there's so much structure in how athletes train, prepare, compete that could get brought into the world of business. And that translates through to identifying what might be your equivalent to a competition. Okay, you've got that in your calendar. What are you going to do in the 2 weeks building up to it to make sure you're actually ready either for that big pitch or that event or that big meeting, whatever it might be? And also, what are you going to do afterwards, both immediately to help you mentally recover, but also to learn from it, to make changes from it. And that structure that athletes go through, I certainly try and implement some of that in how I work, but I do have an interest to one day properly sit down and actually map out, how could the business world operate if it was done in a similar world.
Do you know what? That's really interesting. I mean, and it goes both ways, right? You talk about things like sports psychology, the science behind sports now is so analytical. So I think both sides can learn and have learned massively from each other.
Yeah, very true. Definitely, management of sport has got a lot to improve. The business side of it, sporting governing bodies do tremendous jobs, but with limited resources, and could do with some guidance and help there. And you're seeing more and more sport become commercialised and operating as many businesses. So you're right. Both sides of the party could help, and maybe I'll go back the opposite way as well one day and either sit on like a board of a governing body or sport related.
I read recently the Netflix, I can't remember the name of it, the Netflix story basically about how they set up and how they operate as an organisation, and they talk about, we're not a family, we're like a very high performing sports team. So when they're bringing people in, the way that they manage and coach and they operate at such a high level, that they see themselves as a sports team and as that's how they operate. So really
But I think that I quite like that for the culture of businesses as well, because you can't always agree, you can't always get on. I always think in team sport, you look at footballers on a football pitch. They'll yell at each other and tell them when something's not right, but then once they're back into the dressing room, there's no grudges, everyone moves on, and that can be for business as well is how do you effectively help people improve their work, understand when things need to maybe be done a little bit better, but also you've got each other's backs and you are there to help each other at the end of the day.
Absolutely, and you appreciate each other's strengths. You've got your captain is always there and leading the team forward, and the guys that all excel in their own independent areas and skills.
Yeah, absolutely. Say I could talk for hours about the overlaps between business for sure. So maybe in 30, 40 years, keep an eye out for the book.
Oh, keep an eye out, absolutely. So, Adam, how do Microsoft see the future of finance and ERP?
Yeah, I mean, a great pivot, right? This is bringing it closer to home for where I care and where I sit now in the world of Microsoft. Look, I think if we take the view of business applications holistically, first of all, before we go specific to ERP, in my opinion, and a bit of Microsoft's view is that the products within business applications, and more specifically Dynamics, where it's those systems of record and enterprise software, whether it's your ERP, your CRM, a service platform, they're the engine behind business processes. And really, I think the direction of travel is for them to become more of that almost unseen engine. They power the processes, they power business operations, but they don't need to be the way that employees complete their work and interact with each other or business systems. And if we think about the evolution of business applications over time, the form factor has changed, whether you're completing it on a mainframe, a computer, up in the cloud, or on a mobile phone, but your actual interaction with those systems hasn't changed so much. It's all been about inputting into tables or forms, getting data back, and you've got to interpret it. I think we're at an interesting point now where your interaction is what's going to change. How much of your job can you complete in a collaboration tool like Teams or Outlook or in your office tools? And actually that enterprise software is the backroom engine, rather than every employee needing to go through some sort of training and change management to learn about it. And ERP is no different there. We've got this vision of autonomous ERP. How do we get more and more of the day-to-day repetitive tasks to be automated so that finance leaders can focus on action and execution rather than activity of inputting data and getting data back and then needing to interpret it themselves? Really helping finance leaders and finance agents get a little bit more meaning in the work that they do by using their expertise or their creativity, again, rather than it being admin tasks of data input and output. And so this vision of autonomous ERP, I think, is super powerful. It's freeing up people to do their best work and, again, doing it where they want to complete the action and the activity. And the transformation we've seen throughout the pandemic with people going into remote work has accelerated the adoption of those collaboration tools. And that's really the way forward now. How do we make those a portal and a gateway into executing your job rather than people needing to log in and out of 10, 20 different systems every single day? So yeah, keep that notion of autonomous ERP in mind and you won't be far wrong from our direction of travel.
Yeah, I think we discussed this the other day. Actually, we were talking about RevOps and that kind of lead to cash process, an opportunity coming in and going all the way through. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Those kind of frontline tools like Teams, like Outlook, but also the kind of Power Platform stuff where employees can easily configure workflows and automate processes from any area of the business. And finance is kind of like the hub, right, that everyone touches at some point within the organisation, whether it's authorising expenditure or passing invoices, whatever it might be. So yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It's going across that whole platform in a secure way that's accessible on multiple devices.
Yeah, absolutely. And you touch on a really important point there that I always like to reiterate to remind people is that the ERP is core to everything. My internal quote is every business needs a finance system. Yeah. We joke in our team that I'll find examples of businesses that don't need a CRM or a service platform, but we're yet to find a business that doesn't need a finance system. Absolutely. And so no matter what the end goals are, no matter what transformation they're trying to achieve, that bedrock has got to be in place. The heartbeat of digital transformation often comes back to ERP.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me, Microsoft have two finance/ERP solutions, both suited for different types of businesses and different types of scenarios, I guess is probably the best way of putting it, and come from different backgrounds. So the first platform which we sell is Microsoft Business Central. And the other platform, I guess, is it finance and operations now? It's called something else, isn't it? Finance and supply chain.
Yep.
Adam, can you just talk to us? I mean, tell us about Business Central first of all. Tell us about finance and operations, and tell us why you would use one system over another system, and kind of where they fit, where their sweet spots are.
Yeah, absolutely. So Business Central is a little bit more of a complete business in a box product. It's primarily targeted towards small and medium businesses, and has been built with the ethos of providing some of that basic functionality across all areas of business applications to serve that base layer need for a business, regardless of what they're trying to complete. You may then want to expand upon that, maybe with a bespoke CRM or even manufacturing capabilities. But it's designed so that you're going to get started, and it can help organizations serve the core application. And so it's a little bit more of that complete business in a box, but its core and main functionality is being that ERP platform and that finance platform. And it's really gone from strength to strength over the years. I think it launched back in around 2018 and has taken off in growth and popularity for serving that mid-market, and really, really applicable to organizations that have outgrown legacy off-the-shelf systems that don't have either the capabilities to be as customized, or maybe can't handle the volumes that are needed, or maybe are restricted to one geo, but also being at a price point and a functionality level that means you don't have to step up into full-fledged enterprise-grade ERP, like your traditional SAPs or Oracles, and even Dynamics 365 Finance. And so that stepping stone in between is a really, really fantastic spot where Business Central has accelerated. And sometimes that's been applicable and very suitable to large organizations. They just might not have one aspect of the complexity that an enterprise-grade ERP might require. So a great example would be a large organization that's maybe just based in the UK. Retailers within the UK could be a good fit because they don't need some of the complexities of either manufacturing or intercompany relationships. But they're still a large organization with a lot of users and high throughput. So it's by no means just a small business piece of software. Dynamics 365 Finance, on the other hand, is one of a number of modules within the Dynamics 365 suite that covers finance, supply chain, commerce, HR, project operations, and more. And therefore, it's a little bit modular to pick and choose the areas where you need some of that depth functionality. It might be something around manufacturing or supply chain related. You might want something a little bit deeper with HR or project management. And so you're building some of those pieces together to build that enterprise-grade software. What's wonderful, though, as well, now in the world of Microsoft, because we're one big team, an engineering team, Business Central will also natively integrate into some of those wider modules as well. So you don't just have to go with Dynamics Finance. If you're looking for something with more expertise, maybe in field service or project operations, Business Central can also be that core. So which one is right, where and when? It's very situational depending on your business need. Both tremendous products, and both just as valuable to Microsoft in terms of revenue. So there's no big brother, little brother here. They're both really on par and growing at extremely strong rates. And what's quite nice is they're both continually stepping up, serving more of that higher end market. So whilst Business Central improves and starts to go higher and higher into mid and large enterprises, Dynamics Finance is actually also stepping up even more into that enterprise enterprise suite, and so we just continue to be able to serve even more customers with either of the products.
I think someone at Microsoft explained it to me quite well, actually, that Business Central, it's more pre-configured out of the box, so you can actually stand up the product, get your finance team working on it a lot quicker than you could perhaps on an F&O project. As you said, because F&O is it's much more of a collaboration build, more like CE really. Whereas BC, there's so much you can do out of the box, which fits most small to medium-sized businesses, that it can be delivered a lot quicker.
Yeah, absolutely it can. And this is one of the reasons I love Business Central. You're not limited to one approach. And this is true also for partners like yourselves when thinking about how do you deliver it. If you want to, you can position it off the shelf, pretty vanilla. You get what you get sort of thing. And that's going to help companies get online fast with lower delivery costs and get up and running. But because it's also still within that Microsoft house and has that ethos of customization, extensibility across the whole cloud platform and our ISV ecosystem, you can also do it as a traditional ERP deployment if you are looking to customize, extend it, make it relevant for your business. So you're not stuck. And that goes back to the point we were making earlier about organizations that are outgrowing their current ERP system and looking for that step up. All of our products, and Business Central being a great example of this, can grow with you. You might start off small with low customization, but over time, as your needs change, as you grow as a business, it will grow, expand with you as well. And so this notion of ERP being rip and replace every 5 to 10 years should start to go away. The products are going to continually get better, and because you're on evergreen software, you get all of those updates and all of those improvements for the same price that you're continually paying. And therefore, over time, when you find out that your business is in a different situation, the software is there still to serve you, and you don't need to plan to go through all of the trouble again in a 5 to 10 year window.
Yeah, that MVP approach, minimum viable product approach, is the approach we take. Get the basic stuff in. What's important to you as a business. Get that in function as quickly as possible, and then we start to develop all the extra bits that we can achieve, whether that's within Business Central itself or the wider Power Platform or the CE Dynamics ecosystem. That tends to be our approach when we're looking at these projects. Right, so we wouldn't be doing our jobs right if we weren't talking about Copilot and AI. Obviously, there's a lot of buzzwords, a lot of buzz about this over the past 12 months. What is the roadmap, or what do you see the roadmap being for Copilot in Business Central? And in layman's terms, kind of explain how Copilot is different maybe to other AI tools.
Yeah, good questions, and you're right. We've got to mention it. I probably need to get some sort of Copilot logo on the bookcase behind me pretty soon. Okay, so a bit of yeah, there we go. Let's set the scene on what is Copilot and how does it differ? And it's a good question to always address first, because in reality, AI isn't new. I joined Microsoft just over 5 years ago, and from day one, I was talking about AI to startups and scale-ups and how they can use our AI technology on Azure. And we were talking about cognitive services for like speech to text and language support, etc. And so we've always had AI capabilities. It's this mainstream excitement around generative AI that's really captured people's imagination and traditionally through ChatGPT, where it's kind of gone a little bit viral and people are talking about it. Generative AI being different because it is, as it suggests, generating. It's creating something that's new. It's not just searching or executing against rules based on the data set that it's got. Generative AI will build or create something that is brand new, that's not currently stored within it. The great example being an image. If it's generating an image, that image doesn't exist anywhere else. It hasn't searched to find it and then pull it to you based on your prompt. It has created it. And so the possibilities are far wider because you're not limited to the rules and the data set that you've got. Microsoft is bringing this generative AI technology to market in partnership with OpenAI through Copilot. The notion of Copilot being that tool, that assistant that sits next to you that helps you do your job better, whatever that job may be. And I think that part's really important as well, because there's a lot of, again, excitement and mainstream awareness of Copilot writing an email for you, Copilot building a picture. But how often are you building pictures in your jobs? You're probably writing a lot of emails though, Rob, but there's plenty more that you go do in your job. And so it's really important to understand that Copilot isn't just one thing in a collaboration world. Our notion and our direction of travel is to make it relevant for the job that you do. So we've made announcements for Copilot for sales, Copilot for service, Copilot for finance. That's extending that first proposition for Copilot and making the functionality and the use case applicable to that job role. So how can it support you as a seller? By actually connecting into your CRM data, understanding how your business operates in the world of sales to give you support, insight, execute on actions and activity related to your job as a seller, rather than just create a picture or write an email. It will do it relevant for that role. And as I said, we've announced Copilot for finance as well that will expand into the role of a finance leader to help them do their job. The second important thing, though, to understand is you have these Copilots 4 that are going to support a job function, but we've also got Copilot functionality within our product sets. We're bringing this generative AI technology to market into our products already, and that's in our products just along with our usual release cycles. Therefore, you're not necessarily paying anything extra. You're just updating your product, and different Copilot functionalities are landing within the product set. In this release wave in April, we've got over 100 Copilot functionalities landing across the Dynamics 365 and Power Platform suite. Over 100. We know mainstream about Copilot for M365 for sales, service, and finance. That's 4. But let's not forget, we're making our products as good as we can using all of this technology that's being created by our engineering teams and in partnership with OpenAI. And so the direction of travel and how it's going to support is it's just going to make the products better and make the user experience better, whether it's helping to automate an activity, helping to educate users and maybe make the technology more accessible for user training and adoption, or just automating something in the background to complete some activity that historically would have taken an agent to go complete and do some manual work on. Again, back to that notion of autonomous ERP, you may not even know that we have Copilot functionality there executing on something, but it's only possible because of the position that Microsoft's in with our generative AI capabilities in Copilot.
That's really interesting. In fact, we use Business Central internally as a business, so I can talk firsthand about some of the tasks that you mentioned there. So one of the things that generative AI has really helped us with is actually analysing our data. So when it comes to our board meetings, we point the tool at our reporting out of BC, and it summarises that data and really helps Steve, our FD, put together those financial reports that are really, really important to us. So they're not replacing him, they're assisting him by speeding up the process of doing the board report. So that's a really, really key thing that it's helped us with. Also, we use it for expenses. So AI, we have apps on our phones, we scan our expenses, and it pulls all the data out of those receipts and expenses and then automates that process going through, saving time of, having to collect all your expenses, add them all up and put it together. It's kind of done as you go. And a similar kind of process for purchase invoicing that we run that basically triages the invoices to the relevant people that need to approve them. So we use it internally and we're finding it really, really important. And I think as we, as a business ourselves, we're kind of maturing and using more and more of the Microsoft ecosystem. We use sales, we use marketing, we use project operations. All that data is coming into the Dataverse. All that data we can then use tools like Power BI, but also Copilot to interrogate. And what I see as a key thing with Copilot is you've got kind of the world leader at the moment in OpenAI in this generative AI kind of world. They're blazing a trail. But what Copilot does is it kind of wraps your data in a secure place. It grounds that data and stops it from being shared externally. So you've got that peace of mind that your data's safe. It's all within that Microsoft ecosystem. All sits on that one Dataverse, and you can then start using these tools to really make sense of, why is this finance piece? Why is it relevant to something we're doing in projects? And you can tie those bits of information together. So yeah, I'm really excited about what it can do for our business. Can you think of any other tasks and stuff that's coming out that you know of that could help?
Yeah, absolutely. There's two examples I like to give right now. One is a specific Copilot use case. The second one being a little bit more general. That's exciting me. We have Copilot functionality that's landed to support agents that would manage changes with purchase orders. It can be quite a mundane task where a purchase order gets changed, and you've got to understand the downstream impacts of that. Is it going to impact availability of stock or services? And before you can accept or reject or have a discussion around a potential change, you've got to understand the implications of it, right? And at Microsoft, we work with one of the largest consumer goods companies worldwide, who shared with us that they employ 300 people who every day their job is to look at purchase order changes and assess the downstream impact of it. Yeah. That's their job every day. What they've realized by looking at how they can embed Copilot with Microsoft is that 75% of those changes had no downstream impact. The other 25% did, and they're the priority to focus on for those agents. The Copilot isn't taking away the need for that work. What it's doing is it's assessing potential downstream impact and allowing the agents to prioritize where to focus and what's actually important to them. The 75% that don't have an impact is wasted work because there was nothing to manage and change afterwards. The other 25%, it's super important to get it right, and therefore it needs that focus and that attention. And so that is one small use case example that's having a big impact for an organization that was facing that challenge. More broadly, looking at Copilot to support user experience across the whole stack, what really excites me is how I believe it's going to democratize access to actually using these tools and democratize the ability for people to step up into different tech roles within businesses. If you're completing more of the action using natural language, or you're using Copilot to help with onboarding or training or problem solving, gone are the days of needing to have extremely experienced people that have a decade of knowledge about the systems, leafing through manuals where the answer is on page 300, line 12. When we've got this talent shortage, Copilot's going to be a tool that help people actually use the products and build a career around maybe being either a consultant that wants to go sell it or someone within industry actually managing these softwares or these projects internally within customers. And so that cycle of training, onboarding, change management is going to drastically increase and make these roles, make this technology accessible to more people. And that's going to apply down to a small business level as well. If you're running a small business, you might not have the resources to go employ a data analytics team to go build nice Power BI reports and get all the questions you need. But then maybe you as an MD or a finance leader will go into Power BI, use natural language to say what you want from a report, and it will create it for you. And therefore you as a small business all of a sudden become more efficient. You're able to compete with more businesses because you're getting data and insights easier without needing or without having that blocker of technical expertise. And so that democratization, I think, is going to be a game changer because it's going to provide more opportunities and level the playing field. And the final thing I wanted to touch on, it was a really important point that you mentioned as well, was that notion of security and trust, and why we believe that within the world of Microsoft and Copilot, it's the way forward. As exciting as all these possibilities are, of course, it should naturally come with a lot of questions, concerns, and moments to pause and reflect and say, hey, what's the right way for us to do this? What's morally correct or not? But also, how do we maintain security and compliance within our business? And there's already been examples of individuals and organizations using the public tools for work purposes and data getting leaked or not being secure. The wonderful world about Microsoft is we are one cloud and everything benefits from the wider platform. And so no matter which part of the Microsoft estate you're using, if it's in our SaaS environment, you're protected by our security, compliance, identity controls. And we really want to continue to angle on our trust partnership. This is an exciting time. It's also a very nervous and concerning time for many people. And so we need to, with our partners, tell this message with a message of trust in parallel. We're here to help make sure people adopt this technology in a way that's going to benefit them, but also keep them, their data, their employees safe and secure, and that we aren't exposing any unnecessary risks.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, going back to your first point, when we're talking about supply chain now, we live in a world that's very, very different. There's lots of risks, I guess, going on, whether that's climate or conflict around the world, which are having impacts on our day-to-day lives, and certainly procurement of goods and stuff is very erratic, I suppose. And yeah, it's amazing the way that AI is going to be able to help with that, and certainly when you plug that into an ERP system and you're dealing with complex manufacturing or even just distribution, it can really help find alternative solutions to the challenges that you face. The learning piece is really interesting, actually. I've been talking, when I've talked to kids and stuff, and they say to me, what, I want to get into computers, I want to learn how to be a coder and all this kind of stuff. And I've, for a long time, have said, that's not really the future. For me, the computers are going to take care of that stuff. And really, for me, when I'm talking to younger people, the people that want to get into technology and understand it, for me, what's really important is critical thinking. You're having to solve problems in a way that they've never been solved before because you've never had the technology to do it this way, and every time is going to be different. So you'll be faced with a challenge, and you need to be able to think of different ways of solving it, and kind of ignore the way that it's been done for 100 years or whatever before. So critical thinking, I think, is really, really key to that. And I also think that children need to have, or people need to have, a good understanding of language and natural language. Because we're talking about prompt engineering now, and how a kind of a layman or anyone really can go in and ask questions and collate data, and the better you can communicate with the machine, the same way in business, the better you can communicate with each other, and the better the results you're going to get out the back end of it. So yeah, I think that's really important. And then to your last point. It's something that we're really passionate about here. So as a business, we made a decision a number of years ago that we were going to go all in with Microsoft as a partner. And now we hold all 6 solution designations across everything from the ERP finance platforms to the CRM solutions in CE, across to modern work and security. So that means that, as you were talking earlier, those touch points, where the real value comes is those frontline workers that can use these everyday tools to access this information and utilize these tools. Having an understanding and a speciality in each one of those areas and being able to bring those together brings the whole thing to life, I think, and makes it a very unique proposition.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, congratulations on the 6 solution designations. It's a massive achievement, and we're really proud to to have partners that are so committed to the Microsoft platform. And what you touch on there is the value that partners bring. We at Microsoft want to build the best tools and platforms and products available. And then we almost want to get out of the way and let partners make that real for customers, whether that's through understanding of industry, whether that's through understanding of the change management, or just understanding the people in the business and their priorities and who needs help with what, and how do you as a partner then take the technology that we provide and make that relevant and real for that business. If we tried to serve directly, we would miss the mark too many times. We wouldn't be able to have the depth of understanding or just that human touch to try and build confidence and make sure that there is still a human element in any of this technology work. The quote that Satya Nadella came out with is, you don't come to Microsoft to be cool, you come to Microsoft to make other people look cool. So hopefully we'll keep providing the products and make people like you, Rob, look cool to your customers.
Yeah, hopefully. And we make our customers look cool. That's the point, right?
Absolutely.
So just taking the tech away for a minute, there's a lot of businesses out there that come into the end of their financial years, starting new financial years, and there's been a hell of a lot of change over the last 12 months. Beyond the speed and the trajectory of change in technology in the last 12 months is like nothing I've ever seen, and I don't think anyone alive today has ever witnessed, really. And in taking that aside, what does the financial year? What does the finance world look like in the next 12 months? What's that journey going to be like, and how is it going to be different? Do you think to what it has been in the previous 12?
Yeah, I hope it's going to be a 12 months of a little bit of optimism and exploration into what's possible. You're right that the last 12 months has seen unparalleled change. But what I've learned since being in Microsoft is every year there's something happening. Yeah. I took over this role as I go to market lead for ERP right at the start of lockdown. And partway through lockdown, the Suez Canal also got blocked. And so here I was owning the planning for our supply chain platform, thinking, hang on, I've got two world events here that make the value proposition really simple. Borders are shut, a Suez Canal is blocked, you've got no visibility to your supply chain, how are you going to respond to that? And so everything was geared around being reactive, and investment in technology was a way for organizations to get back online, mitigate risk, and really find a new norm of operating. It was very reactive. Now we're stepping into a time where actually we can be a little bit more forward-looking, but there's still another world event and catalyst that's driving that need for innovation and change. And I say this time it's more of a positive one, in that the technology is evolving so quickly, rather than a supply chain issue that's impacting global trade. And so I still think finance teams will continue to look and should continue to look to see how best they can invest going forward. We have seen from the past few years that those that are investing in innovation are doing better. They've recovered faster, their growth trajectories are stronger. And so I would hope finance departments continue with a refreshed perspective to look at how they set up budgets and priorities to continue to invest in technology as an enabler, and really use this time to think about what does their perfect end state look like, and when they're not being as reactive to mitigating issues or reporting on impacts of changes. When you're being reactive, you're trying to solve the problem you've got right in front of you. When you're being more forward-looking, you can almost build that wish list of how should we operate as a business? What does our end state look like? What are our future goals? And really think more about the art of the possible. And so I think the next 12 months has got this chance for business leaders and finance leaders to sit down and say, hey, this notion of autonomous ERP, what could that look like for us? Who do we want to empower? What do we want to change? And then what steps do we put in place as a team with our budgets, our priorities, our projects, to make that a little bit more real? And we're at a good stage now where everyone can test and learn a little bit about the technology. We haven't, no one's missed the boat with jumping onto generative AI. I think there's a little bit of a worry because of the pace of change that if I haven't got as a business a generative AI plan, it's too late. I've missed it. It goes back to what we were saying about Microsoft will provide technology, partners will make that real, and then ultimately the customer, wait for that technology to be ready, find a partner that's going to support you, and go forward with that list of art of possible, and then figure out how to make it real. And right now, you can just test and play around with the tools and see what do you think some of the unexpected benefits are, or the use cases that are unique to your business where you can make that change. So hopefully looking forward the next 12 months, I say it's one with optimism for people to make the change that they want rather than just being reactive. And no doubt when we get to this time next year and organizations are wrapping up their end of year reports, maybe a lot of those will be written with the support of Copilot. And so hopefully some of the legwork of the preparation of the reports and the documents, Copilot will help with that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Copilot can help you, and not just Copilot, but the whole automation piece can help you save time. And then once you've saved that time, it gives you a chance to focus on the kind of more strategic pieces that you're talking about right there. So for me, the way we approached it when we started our journey with Business Central, certainly within our finance team, it was kind of, where are the quick wins? Let's get those done. And that's given us back time. It's not about, for us, it was never about saving money and cutting jobs back and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Yes, the byproduct is we're more efficient. So yes, we're saving money, but the people we've got are much more focused on the important matters that we want them to be focused on, our clients, our team, and doing meaningful tasks where they can think more strategically.
Yeah, absolutely. What I propose to business leaders is almost a question or a thought challenge of how many people in your business are doing the job you want them to do, with a good amount of their time, or are people still tied down with doing admin or pulling reports or trying to find information or data? We're employed for certain skill sets, and a lot of the time, no matter what role you're in, you have to do peripheral work around it. Yeah. We want the technology to take away some of that peripheral work so you can do what you're employed to do, right? And as a business leader, hopefully more of the people in your business will do the work that's aligning to their skill set rather than admin or process tasks that currently take up a lot of that headspace.
Absolutely. So one of the benefits, and you mentioned this earlier, of a SaaS-based solution like Business Central is the fact that it's going to be kept evergreen. So Business Central has 2 wave releases a year, and wave 1 of 2024 is about to come out. Are there any features that you'd like to put a spotlight on, kind of outside of code? We talked a lot about the Copilot stuff, but there's other benefits that are going to be coming out in wave 1 this year. You've got any kind of bits you can share with us on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, of course, normally Copilot would be the top answers. But what I really love about the direction of travel with our engineering team, because we're a big organization and well resourced, we're improving the product at all angles. So the core functionality does improve and will continue to improve, even outside of the world of AI. We're serving more functionality needs and gaps. And in case anybody is unsure, our BC Ideas website is a great way to suggest ideas on functionality improvement, and our engineering team and product managers review the most popular suggestions, and so community-led suggestions really form a big part of our roadmap. But some of the areas that are exciting for me is just improving the user experience of the product. So there's changes coming out to support with onboarding and just general user navigation and, again, experience with using the software. Little things like the search functionality is getting smarter. It's being easier to find the information that you need, making changes on specific forms and pages happening within the window that you're on rather than going into a back-end admin portal to make a little bit of customization. And so there's some good changes that's just bringing the flow of work a little bit more front and center to where the user is there and then, and helping them navigate around again. I say, a smarter search bar is a simple thing, but it can be really impactful and powerful when people are using these tools really often, and one little step that's saved aggregates up to save a lot of time. So yeah, I love the focus and commitment that our engineering team is making on that user experience and usability. And it goes back to the point we were making earlier on accessibility to the tools as well. It means it'll be a little bit easier for people to onboard, to be able to solve their own problems, and be able to upskill on using the technology. So yeah, that's some of the announcements that I've been pleased around that functionality of user experience, navigation, and customizations.
And I'm really excited about the continued development of integration with Power Platform as well, because that opens up a whole range of other tools and reporting that again, we touched on earlier about talking to every element of the business, and it gives us a whole different set of tools. So yeah, really looking forward to that. So if you were to address any finance departments right now, so I'm a FD or a CFO or a credit controller or whatever it might be, and I'm in charge of the finance team, how do I get started? I want to explore this world of Microsoft and Dynamics and Business Central and automation and AI and all these cool things that everyone's talking about. Where do I start? What would you say is a sensible place to start as an organisation?
Yeah, again, good question, and very dependent on your current state and your current mindset. I've spoken to lots of customers who are super excited about Copilot, the future with technology, and they can't wait to get their hands on it. I've spoken to other customers where the leaders are hesitant, and almost the art of the possible scares them because they're still running on pen and paper processes or Excel workbooks. And this future state that we paint is a bit of a pipe dream and feels like a far off vision. And so it depends on whether you're going to be a leader with this change or whether you're looking for some early adopters to test it out and prove it out, and then you'll be mainstream, or you're going to be a bit of a laggard and move when the risk is completely minimized. Regardless of where you are on those three, you can't make a change unless your business is kind of ready from like a data estate, process management, and end goal direction. You want to know what direction you're traveling in, but really trying to use this time to get the fundamentals in place. Right, you can't adopt AI overnight. You can't even move to a SaaS platform overnight if you're on disparate, siloed legacy systems, data all over the place. Maybe you're on premise and it's an unsupported product, and you've got risk of security controls. Use this time to get the foundations in order. Best way to do that is working with a Microsoft partner like Infinity Group, who can sit down with you and almost do that review of what's your status quo looking like right now? How do we get you to the next step so that you're ready to either move to a platform or adopt a little bit of technology and take it step by step? Goes back to this notion of you haven't missed the train. There's still plenty of time. This is the time to kind of get that data estate in line. And then, regardless of whether you're a front runner or you're a laggard, think about what is that end state and that end goal for you as a business. If you want to be that front runner and be super early adopter, what's most exciting to you right now? Which use cases do you want to fix, and how do you actually try and push the boundaries with your partner to implement some of the technology as early as possible, test it out and go for it? Or is your end goal to make this as the best transformation as possible for your people? And maybe it's about being people-centric, and so you want to minimize risk on user adoption and change management issues, but you're going to go with the technology or the use cases that most improve a little bit of employee efficiency. That end goal really should direct where you want to go direction of travel. We've been talking about trying to get into the SaaS cloud world for a number of years. This is just another one of those reasons, another one of those catalysts. Again, that notion of rip and replace every 5 to 10 years should go away. So use this time to lay those foundations and those building blocks. And the best way to start with that is with a trusted partner, and Infinity is a great example of that.
Yeah, I think we see when we see customers, there's lots of different types of customers that we engage, and there are different parts of their journey, different kind of maturity as far as the teams go that they have and the resources they have available. So in some cases, they want to get something landed quickly, viable product. They might have some very simple kind of finance setup as it is. They know they need to move to a new platform because the platform they've got isn't really doing anything for them. Disparate data sets and all that kind of stuff. So we have a quick start solution where we can embed the product pretty quickly in a matter of weeks and get those basic functions working. So that's one approach. Another approach, if you want to look more kind of holistically at your digital transformation journey, is a business value assessment where Microsoft invests some time, we invest some time, and we have this kind of program. It's kind of like a catalyst program where we take you through a process with those senior stakeholders within the business to understand where your challenges are and how technology can solve those challenges. And that sits across the whole Microsoft stack. So we would look at everything from security to modern work to ERP and your kind of CRM needs as well. So and what that does is at the end of it, it gives you a business case where you can really see what the return on investment is. And it could be that finance is the quick win where we can deliver something relatively quickly, relatively fast, and you can really start getting the benefits from that. So yeah, I would say BVA or the Quick Start are really good programs. Also, we've got an AI readiness program as well, where we assess the business again and make sure that you're ready for AI, because business applications we talked about earlier, Copilot's embedded in those systems, but actually if you're talking Copilot within M365, that has a potential to search all of your data, and you need to make sure that your security and the foundations there are configured in the correct way.
Yeah, and what you touch on there, I think, is sometimes the one of the most surprising thing customers find when they start this journey. There's actually a lot of support available. We at Microsoft try and provide a lot of our support through the partner channel again, and through funding those workshops and those assessments. And so customers don't need to go on this journey alone. You don't need to be the experts in the direction of travel, and actually just embracing that there's going to be a bit of exploration and a bit of learning to go through. But we all try and work together across all parties to provide as much support as possible. And I know customers really value that and appreciate that. And sometimes are actually surprised at the level of support and services available along the way to help uncover that best first path forward.
So lastly, we've got an event actually coming up at Paddington, which we're going to be running alongside Microsoft. So you're going to be hearing from Adam and other Microsoft speakers. You're going to be hearing from us as a partner, the kinds of programs and challenges that we can bring that we can solve for you. And you're also going to be hearing from customers as well. So we're going to have clients at the event have been in various different stages of their journey, and they can talk to you, finance people, about some of the challenges they've had, but also some of the quick wins they've had and the journey they've been on. So that event is at Paddington on the 27th of March, 2024. Adam, thank you so much for your time. It's been great talking to you, and yeah, really looking forward to our event in March and catching up with you soon.
Yeah, always a pleasure. Thanks, Rob.